The story of the Aztec Empire is a tale woven with threads of glory and despair, a rise that dazzled the eye and a fall that left the world in shock. Imagine standing in the heart of Tenochtitlan, the magnificent capital of this great civilization, surrounded by soaring temples and bustling marketplaces, a vibrant culture breathing life into every corner. Now, picture that very same place, a mere 2 years later, reduced to rubble and ash. What happened during that brief moment in history to transform such splendor into sorrow? How did an empire, known for its stunning architecture and rich traditions, meet its untimely demise? As we dive into the annals of history, you're going to uncover insights that defy your expectations and challenge everything you thought you knew about the Aztecs. You might be wondering, what made the Aztec Empire stand out among the myriad of civilizations in Mesoamerica? The answer isn't just about military conquest or wealth, it's an intricate tapestry of culture, religion, and commerce that set the Aztecs apart, captivating neighboring tribes and outsiders alike. The Aztec Empire, with its breathtaking palaces and intricate religious rituals, was a society that thrived on a complex interplay between power and belief. But before we unravel the story of its meteoric rise and catastrophic fall, let's understand what life was like in Tenochtitlan, the beating heart of the Aztec world. You see, the city wasn't built in isolation, it was founded on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco, complete with floating gardens known as chinampas, cultivating an abundance of maize, beans, and other crops. This agricultural innovation was a lifeline, supporting a population that eventually numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Here's something you didn't expect: the Aztecs were not the first civilization to occupy the region. The Toltecs, Mixtecs, and Mayans had all left their cultural imprints before the Aztecs arrived. Yet, by the late 14th century, the Aztecs emerged victorious, flourishing in what became a sophisticated amalgamation of earlier traditions fueled by their insatiable ambition and skill in warfare. You can almost hear the echo of battle cries in the air as we explore how the Aztec leaders united disparate tribes through conquest, fostering both fear and admiration, a tactic that would ultimately forge an empire poised for greatness. Their rise was rapid, and just as striking was the way they skillfully integrated their conquered peoples. Instead of mere subjugation, they incorporated other cultures into their own, adopting rituals and practices while establishing a tribute system that enriched the empire's coffers. This sense of unity forged through diversity created a kaleidoscope of alliances, underscoring a key element of the Aztecs' power, their ability to cultivate loyalty through shared beliefs and collaborative existence. But hold on, beneath this colorful facade lay a darker side that many do not consider. The Aztecs are often remembered for their brutal human sacrifices, a religious necessity in their worldview, believed to nourish the gods in exchange for the sustenance of the world. They believed in a cyclical nature of life and death that demanded bloodshed as a means of maintaining cosmic order. But here's the twist: while this practice horrifies the modern sensibility, it provided a unifying purpose for their people, creating a communal mythology that intoxicated both the believers and their captives. As we delve deeper, you'll encounter a surprising element during the peak of their power: the market system of Tenochtitlan. It had vast market districts filled with goods ranging from textiles to jade, a bustling center of commerce that attracted traders from all over Mesoamerica. But you may ask, how did these markets operate without a system of currency? Did you know that cacao beans were used as money? That's right, these little beans, wrapped in their rich history and flavor, helped in trade and were prized just as gold would be in another culture. Think about that for a moment. The empires of Europe were engaged in the pursuit of gold while the Aztecs valued cacao, entwining their economy with both sustenance and luxury. The achievements of the Aztec Empire were as profound as their religious convictions, and trade, art and culture flourished in a way that left a legacy still admired today. Intricate stone carvings, monumental architecture, and vibrant murals adorned temples and public spaces, telling stories of gods, warriors, and creation. You might be surprised to learn that the famous calendar stone, often mistakenly seen solely as a means of measuring time, was a sophisticated representation of their cosmology. It captured the essence of the past, present, and future, serving as a reminder of their cyclical beliefs. This brings us to a pivotal question: how did an empire so rich in culture and beliefs crumble so swiftly? As we journey through time, it's essential to acknowledge the forces at play in the expansion of the Aztec Empire. The 15th century saw them engage in a series of military campaigns. They claimed vast territories and warned neighboring states not to cross them. However, while other civilizations often relied on sheer might, the Aztecs wielded psychological warfare. They understood the power of fear and the impact of reputation, often using intimidation to avoid bloodshed. Yet, there's a hidden instability beneath this veneer of strength. Even the greatest empire can house dissent and unrest. The founding of Tenochtitlan in 1325, depicting resilience against earlier people's motifs, subtly hints at a complex narrative where the Aztecs themselves were the underdogs for centuries before they claimed the upper hand. It's almost poetic, the idea that the rise of an empire can root itself in both struggle and hope. But as they reached greater prominence, tension simmered. The very alliances that fortified their power could easily turn to resentment. But don't let the facade of stability fool you. Behind the splendor of Tenochtitlan, social divisions and unrest brewed. A reliance on tribute from conquered states left some tribes willing to ally with other powers against the Aztec rule. For instance, the people of Tlaxcala grew increasingly frustrated with the heavy burdens they were forced to bear, leading to an uneasy relationship with the might of the Aztec Empire. So, what led them to ally with the Spanish when they arrived? Around 1519, Hernán Cortés set foot on the shores of the Aztec Empire, accompanied by a small force of conquistadors. At this moment, you might be wondering, could a handful of men truly topple an empire? The answer lies in a blend of skillful manipulation, opportunistic alliances, and the catastrophic effects of diseases that had already begun to sweep through Mesoamerica. Cortés, recognizing the dissent among the Aztecs, forged alliances with their enemies in exchange for support against a common foe. The very fabric of the Aztec Empire unraveled before their eyes, as tribes that had once been subjugated seized the opportunity to regain freedom. But just when it seemed that the Aztecs would rally against the invaders, circumstances would take a disheartening turn. The arrival of European diseases, such as smallpox, decimated the native population, tipping the scales of power. The Aztecs had no immunity to such illnesses, and as the vibrant culture began to crumble steeped in death, confusion and betrayal spread within their ranks. Imagine a city bustling, filled with life, suddenly choking on disease. How does one fight back when the very foundation of human existence is under siege? Yet, amid this chaos, one key component often overlooked emerges: time. The events were rapid, and the very idea of time as the Aztecs understood it played a critical role in their worldview. They were governed by cycles and prophecies, believing that they lived in the fifth sun, a period destined for destruction. This belief may have rendered them less resilient in the face of external threats. It was almost as if fate was working against them. Small wonder that the fall of the Aztec Empire is often perceived as preordained, an inevitability coded into the very tapestry of their existence. As we approach this tumultuous period in the Aztec story, we can see how swiftly success turned to despair. Tenochtitlan fell in 1521, a monumental event marked by battles that would echo through history. Cortés and his men, aided by thousands of native allies, laid siege to the city. Think about it, the beauty and brilliance of a civilization collapsed as their very own neighbors, driven by years of tributes and suffering, turned against them. It is a shocking twist in a story that once felt so singularly powerful. Indeed, the siege of Tenochtitlan was as brutal as it was transformative. After nearly 3 months of conflict, during which the once bustling streets grew eerily silent, the water infrastructure and defensive structures were systematically dismantled. As the Aztecs, cornered and starving, launched desperate attempts to breach the besieging forces, the empire faced an insurmountable wall of resistance, a wall perpetuated by a network of grievances, alliances, and the forever-changing tides of history. But this remarkable collapse would birth a new reality. What would emerge from the ruins of Tenochtitlan? And how did the conquering Spanish write over the rich stories of the Aztec Empire to forge a new identity in Mexico? While we haven't reached the conclusion of our exploration yet, the hints of intricacies that dance between conquest and collapse are becoming clear. In the next part of this narrative, we will unravel the immediate aftermath of the fall, the transformation of culture, and how the echoes of this legendary empire still reverberate in the world today. Join me as we reveal the myths and realities intertwined in this remarkable tale, continuing our journey with renewed curiosity and clarity. As the dust settled on the ruins of Tenochtitlan, the intricate tapestry of the Aztec Empire transformed into a landscape shaped by colonizers. The fall of this monumental city reverberated like a thunderclap through time, signaling not just the end of an era but the dawn of a new world order. Hernán Cortés and his band of conquistadors, backed by indigenous allies who sought revenge against their oppressive Aztec rulers, didn't just bring swords and shields to the table, they brought ideas that would redefine the very fabric of Mesoamerican life. The immediate aftermath was marked by chaos and uncertainty. The Spanish conquistadors established a new governance system, dismantling what remained of the Aztec political apparatus. As they began to claim territory for the Spanish crown, the old ways of life began to fade into obscurity, overshadowed by the relentless advance of European culture. Churches replaced Templo Mayor, and the deep pulsations of the Aztec cosmology were overwritten by the dogmas of Catholicism. But just as the ruins of the city bore witness to its past glory, so too did the people carry forward whispers of their heritage, creating a rich blend of cultures influenced by Spanish rule. One must consider, what happened to the indigenous population after the fall? The aftermath of conquest was not a clean slate, it was marred by the harsh realities of colonization. With the decimation of the Aztec population due to European diseases, which had ravaged their communities before and during the conquest, the social structure and cultural identity began to shift drastically. Many survivors were forced into servitude and subjected to a tributary system that, although different from Aztec tribute, still placed them under the yoke of Spanish rule. In this new order, they found themselves navigating the complexities of a hybrid identity, balancing their ancient traditions with the pressures of the new religious and political landscape. Streams of indigenous peoples from various tribes mingled under the Spanish imperial umbrella, their languages and customs interweaving with Spanish traditions. While the Spanish sought to impose their ways through the establishment of missions, schools, and governance structures, the indigenous people transformed these influences in profound ways. The resulting mestizo culture, an infusion of indigenous and Spanish elements, became a defining feature of Mexican identity. Consider the product of this cultural amalgamation, a world where Aztec gods merged with Christian saints, creating new narratives that honored ancestral spirits while embracing foreign ideals. The Virgin of Guadalupe, perhaps the most iconic symbol of Mexican culture today, embodies this duality. Emerging in the early 16th century, the Virgin became a powerful symbol for indigenous and mestizo identity, connecting a deeply rooted history while offering a new figure of worship. This synthesis, both contentious and resilient, suggests that while the Aztec Empire may have fallen, elements of its spirit persisted and adapted within the new socio-cultural landscape. Fast forward to the governance and administrative structures the Spanish implemented, the encomienda system took hold, whereby Spanish colonizers were granted rights to extract labor and tribute from the indigenous communities. This system, ever so reminiscent of the Aztec tribute, reflected a continuity of control and exploitation, albeit under new rulers. Striated social classes emerged, firmly placing the Spanish crown and European settlers at the top while relegating indigenous peoples to lower status. Yet, even amidst such oppression, the indigenous populace didn't go gentle into that night. They maintained their languages, customs, and retelling of their histories, subtly embedding their narratives into the broader Mexican fabric. Alongside this transformation came a revival of art and culture, albeit reframed through a colonial lens. The intricate craftsmanship of the Aztecs, from stone carvings to vibrant textiles, persisted, mixing traditional techniques with European styles. You might find your understanding of what constitutes post-colonial art challenged as you witness the revival of indigenous themes in a colonial context. While stripped of some of their original meaning, these art forms became a way for the people to express their resilience and continue storytelling, a refusal to be entirely silenced. As we sift through this layered narrative, consider the end of the Aztec political entities. Some remnants of traditions, knowledge, and societal structures endured even through the furnace of colonial rule. Secret societies, ancient wisdom, and underground rites kept the essence of the Aztec civilization flickering, waiting for an opportunity to shine once again. In many ways, the struggle against European domination galvanized a consciousness that would shape future resistance movements across generations. But let's zoom in on a crucial aspect of this transformation: the role of the Catholic Church. It did not merely eject the Aztec gods from the pantheon; instead, it often found ways to co-opt and reshape traditional beliefs. For instance, many indigenous peoples reinterpreted Catholic teachings through the lens of their own spirituality, creating a unique syncretic practice. The Catholic Church became a dual entity, both enforcer of the Crown's policies and custodian of native souls. Ironically, in its bestowment of salvation, it became intertwined with the cultural survival of indigenous practices, allowing for the flowering of a new, complex identity. Simultaneously, the story of the Aztecs was not forgotten but transformed. The tales of their grandeur and valor morphed into legends within a collective memory. Each retelling brought with it the weight of pride and sorrow, the accomplishments of a civilization defiant in the face of annihilation. These narratives persisted among the descendants of the indigenous peoples, kept alive through oral traditions and later through writings, painting a rich tapestry of heritage that remains a significant aspect of cultural identity in modern Mexico. Now, as we approach the end of this exploration, consider the reverberations of the Aztec legacy in contemporary society. The juxtaposition of ancient traditions and modern practices creates an enriching dialogue, an understanding that informs everything from culinary arts to folk music, from festivals to national pride. As you walk through modern Mexico City, imagine the layers of history beneath every street, behind every contemporary building, structures that reference not only the Spanish conquest but also the echoing legacies of the Aztec Empire. The resilience symbolized in the survival of indigenous cultures points to an enduring truth: while empires may rise and fall, their stories and their spirit often transcend the confines of history. Today, ceremonies honoring Tlaloc, the rain god, or the revered Quetzalcoatl live side by side with Christmas celebrations and cultural festivals, each representing a facet of identity that binds people to their past. In this intertwined narrative, perhaps we can find a lesson about human resilience, adaptation, and cultural identity. The Aztec Empire may have fallen, but its legacy is alive, interwoven into the fabric of Mexican heritage, inspiring countless generations to celebrate their roots while forging ahead into a future marked by diverse influences. As we conclude this journey through the rise and fall of the Aztec Empire, its enduring essence remakes itself into the ever-evolving identity of Mexico. Just as Tenochtitlan fashioned an intricate web of life among its islands, today's society continues to weave together the bright threads of the past, creating a vibrant picture that speaks not only of loss but of triumph. The story that began in the heart of a vibrant city filled with temples may have taken unexpected turns, yet it remains a tale of survival, a testament to a people who have given us so much to learn and cherish. So, the next time you speak of the Aztecs or see a representation of their amazing civilization, remember that this is not merely a story of defeat but rather an ongoing narrative that reflects the complexities of life, culture, and the unyielding spirit of a people who refuse to be forgotten. The end of one story often marks the beginning of another, weaving tales of glory and hope into the very fabric of humanity's journey.